Parents, we want to welcome you to the 2015-2016 Richfield High School Senior Seminar, Life After High School. Let me start by introducing you to your child counselor. If your child's last name starts with the letter A through G, their counselor is Mrs. Oki. If their last name starts with H through N, their counselor is Miss Lindy. If their last name starts from O through Z, their counselor is Dr. Gary A. Our purpose for this seminar is to assist you in helping your child create a plan or organize a plan for life after high school in the areas of post-secondary education and future careers. When I think of a plan, I picture a roadmap, something that would guide me to where I want to be. I usually said, a person without a plan is like driving a car in the middle of the night without headlights. Well, Stanley Judge put it this way: a good plan is like a roadmap. It shows the final destination and usually the best way to get there. When it comes to planning, we put a roadmap together that will help keep the students in the right direction. We call it a timeline. This timeline runs from August through December. The very first thing that's on the timeline, it's update your activities resume. We know this summer the kids did a lot of activities. All we are asking, so they take these activities and put it on the activities resume. If they do not have an activities resume, we are asking them to create one. If they already have one, we're just asking to update it. And also, they want to make sure that they send their ACT score to the colleges that they are planning to attend next fall. One of the ways to pay for colleges is through scholarships. Searching for scholarships, it's an important matter. That's why we're asking the students to find scholarships that best fit them. And we're advising them to apply, and apply. They also should search for colleges that they're planning to attend and make a list of these colleges, do a campus visit, or check out the college online. A recommendation letter is an important aspect of applying for colleges and scholarships. Not all colleges require a recommendation letter, but most scholarships ask for one. What we would advise is for the students to find a teacher who knows them best, who would be able to write them a great letter of recommendation, because that letter represents the students. And also we would advise that the student give the person who is writing them a recommendation letter plenty of notice, preferably 2 to 3 weeks. As we continue with that timeline, also it's time for them to submit college applications as well. The best way to do it is online. And also they have to watch out for the early admission and early decision deadlines and other deadlines they might have on the application. As the timeline continues in the springs, from January to June, the first thing that we want to let you know that Richfield High School will be offering a financial aid night in January. We're asking the students to continue to search for scholarships. Once again, remind them to apply. Also, for them to avoid senioritis, is during that time the kids want to slide. Please encourage them to keep on working to earn the best grade they possibly can. As we continue with the spring timeline, it's time to complete the FAFSA between the end of January through March. It's also time to confirm admission decision with the college of their choice, and also for them to start thinking about submitting housing deposit. So the June's finally here. In June, they'll need to come to the guidance office to request a final transcript to be sent to the college of their choice. Also, as we enter the same June month, it's graduation time. For 12 years, they've been working hard. That time is finally here. It is celebration time. If your students play sports and they would like to compete in a Division 1 or Division 2 school, they will need to register with the NCAA Eligibility Center, and there is a fee involved. The NCAA Eligibility Center handles all eligibility status for students in two areas. One is in the area of academic. Two, it's in the area of making sure that the playing field is equal to all.
Options after high school. Your student has been learning about these options after high school for the past 3 years in advisory and also last spring when we spoke with them at junior seminar. What we counselors have focused on is college options, 2-year, 4-year, public, private, and military academies, as well as other opportunities such as military enlistment or working. Jessica Oki will follow my slides by talking more about financing education. 2-year public schools in our area include examples such as Normandale Community College, Minneapolis Community Tech, and Hennepin Tech. Tuition per year is a little under $6,000 on average at $5,740. Students who choose to attend 2-year public schools do not have on-campus housing opportunities. Rather, they typically choose to live at home, or if they are planning on moving into an apartment, we encourage the students to consider how they would be paying for the apartment and their other living costs. Admission to 2-year public schools is open, meaning students just are required to have a high school diploma. Last year's class, graduates of 2015, reported to us in an end-of-the-year survey that 41% of them were choosing to attend a 2-year community technical college. The Power of You program is something special for Richfield High School graduates. The Power of You program at Minneapolis Community Technical College and also St. Paul College offers free tuition for 2 years for students who graduate from Richfield High School. Eligibility is determined according to the family's financial aid status, according to the FAFSA. Through the Power of You program, students not only receive college tuition free, they also receive advising and support services specifically dedicated to Power of You program students. More information will be given to students in February as to how to apply for the Power of You program, and we will also have a speaker come from MCTC to speak to seniors here at Richfield High School to learn more about the Power of You program. 4-year public schools is another option. For example, the MNSCU schools, which is short for Minnesota State College and Universities. These are schools like Mankato, Winona, also Bemidji, Moorhead, St. Cloud, for example. Tuition is a little higher than at two-year public schools. Tuition is $8,000 per year on average, and then we also include room and board, housing and food for another $8,000 for an average of $16,000 per year total cost. On-campus housing is available and it's common. Admission is more selective for a four-year public school. If students are in the upper half of their class, upper 50th percentile, and or they have a composite 21 or higher ACT score, they do have automatic admission offers. So upper half of the class and or 21 or higher ACT. The core requirements would include English, social studies, math, and science, as well as 2 years of foreign language. Last year's class graduates of 2015 reported to us that 38% were choosing to attend a public four-year school from the MNSCU system. The University of Minnesota system, with campuses on Twin Cities, Duluth, Morris, Crookston, and Rochester, have costs that vary between $21,000 to $25,000, which includes tuition and fees and room and board. For students in the Richfield area who choose to go to the Twin Cities campus, many may opt to commute and live at home, but many also opt to be on campus and take advantage of their on-campus housing. That is also the case with Duluth, Morris, Crookston, and Rochester. It's important to note with the University of Minnesota system that there is a priority deadline of December 15th, 2015 for applications to be considered. Keep in mind, and we told the students this, that the turnaround time for an answer from the University of Minnesota application system is typically 8 to 10 weeks. So for what we told the students, if the U of M, any of the campuses are on their radar, on their list of colleges they want to apply to, we do suggest applying as soon as possible. For the University of Minnesota 5 campuses, we have had historically about 10% from each graduating class who has told us they are attending a University of Minnesota school. Please keep in mind that admission in the University of Minnesota system is considered holistic, and what that means is in addition to ACT scores, GPA, class rank, and coursework, students' activities resume is also highly considered, considering things like sports, clubs, theater, church or community involvement, volunteering, any awards or honors. This makes the review process more holistic rather than just considering ACT, GPA, class rank. Also keep in mind with the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, last year they had about 45,000 applications for freshman admission for about 11,000 to 12,000 spots. So what we have told kids is there is about a 1 in 4 acceptance rate at the University of Minnesota. We don't say that to scare them away. We say that to be more realistic and let them know that it is a very competitive process at the University of Minnesota. Of course, if you have concerns or questions about your student, please don't hesitate to contact your student's counselor. We'd be happy to help you with the University of Minnesota application process. Another option is the four-year private schools. In Minnesota, in our area, St. Thomas, Augsburg are a couple of examples. Of course, we have Carleton, St. Olaf, McAllister, Hamlin, St. Ben's, St. John's, just to name a few. And you can see by the slide between $30,000 and $62,000 per year. The cost will fluctuate between each campus. If your student is interested in a private school, we do highly suggest a campus visit and a visit with the admissions rep, just like we do at the other schools. Please keep in mind that on-campus housing is available. It is common, and for many of the private schools, freshmen are mandatory to be living on campus. Also keep in mind that financial aid can be more readily available as the costs are higher, and many of the private schools have endowment funds from graduates who have donated money back to the school to be able to offer more freshman year scholarships. Admission is more selective. It's also based on holistic review. Of course, they will take into consideration ACT, GPA, class rank, coursework, but then again, like the University of Minnesota Holistic Review, they will look at the activities, volunteering, awards, honors. Essentially, how is a student spending their time actually outside of school as well as inside of school. We have had students come to us and talk to us about the armed services, the academies, specifically U.S. military, naval, Coast Guard, Air Force, Merchant Marines, and as you can see from the slide, they are located outside of Minnesota. Admission requirements and timelines will vary quite a bit between these academies, and there is a lot that goes into an application for the academies. Interested students should definitely see their counselor as soon as possible so that we can sit down with them and make a plan about fulfilling the admission requirements and fulfilling the timelines. There are tips on the website, www.military.com, for students who are interested in specifically applying at one of the service academies. Another option after high school is for students to choose to enlist directly in one of the military branches. Army, Air Force, Coast Guard, Navy, and Marines recruiters do visit Ridgefield High School on a weekly basis in the lunchroom. And if students are interested in speaking with a recruiter or meeting with a recruiter, they are available to meet with them in our offices as requested. If a student needs help contacting a specific recruiter for a specific branch, please have them see their counselor and we will help them set that up. A final option is for students to choose to work full-time. Things to consider would be strengths, skills, and salary for students who make this choice to work full-time right after high school.
There are three primary factors that colleges look at when considering a student for admission. The first one is the application itself. Once the student has decided they would like to apply to a college, they need to go to the college website, find the admissions page. It is usually labeled admissions, but some colleges might list it under a heading like prospective students or future students. Each college will be slightly different in what they ask for on their application. At a minimum, they will ask for basic information such as name, address, high school, possibly intended program of study. Many will also ask for school and community involvement, and some will ask for a personal statement or essay, and possibly letters of recommendation from teachers, counselors, etc. All of the application requirements will be listed on the college's admissions page. In most cases, the student will need to create an account, and then the website will walk them through the process. The second factor that colleges consider in admissions is the student transcript. They're going to be looking at the courses the student has taken. They're looking for rigor. They're going to look at the grades the student have earned. So they're looking at GPA and class rank. They're also going to be looking at the courses in progress to make sure that they are continuing in their senior year to take rigorous courses. A few colleges will allow students to self-report their courses and grades earned and then ask for a final transcript at the end of the year. But in most cases, the college will require that an official transcript be submitted directly from us to the college before they will consider the student for admission. So to take care of that, after the student has submitted their online application, they should speak to their counselor or to the guidance office secretary to request that a transcript be sent. The third factor that most four-year colleges consider as part of the application process is the college entrance exam, or sometimes it is referred to as an admissions test. So some of the reasons for taking an admissions test: it opens doors. They might not know right away that they want to apply to a four-year college, but just having that score, they have that option later. It guides their choices. It shows them the areas where their strengths lie and where perhaps they need to work a little bit. And this is a key point, it helps qualify for scholarships. Many four-year colleges will have set scholarships for students. For example, if you're in the top 10% of the class and you have a 28 or higher on the ACT, you might have a set amount of money that you automatically would receive upon admission. So students should take a look at that information on the websites of the colleges they're thinking about. And if they find college scholarships like that and they have an ACT score that's very close, it might be worth their time to retake the ACT and try to earn an extra point or two to possibly earn some of those scholarships. So there are actually two college entrance exams, the ACT and the SAT, and both exams are accepted at every college in the country. The state of Minnesota actually required for last year's juniors, all of them had to take the ACT, and it's part of their graduation requirement. Some students might also choose to take the SAT if they'd like to see how they would do on it. So like I said, all of the juniors last year took the ACT, but if they would like to take the ACT again to see if they could improve their score, they could do that this year. There is a test date in October and also in December, February, April, and June. The test date for October, the deadline to register has already passed. They can still register, but with a late fee. So if they'd like to do that, they could. Otherwise, they could wait and take it in December. But I would encourage them, if they're doing this for college application purposes, they should try to get into either the October or the December test date. So to register, they just go to actstudent.org and create an account, and it'll walk them through the process. If this is their first time creating the account, they would need to indicate that they have taken the ACT before, if they took it last April, but that they did not register before. And then it will ask them for their ACT ID number so that it can match their account with their previous test score. If they can't find that number, they can speak to their counselor and we will help them find it. If the student qualifies for free or reduced lunch, they can get a fee waiver from their counselor. Another thing to take note of is for the score reports. When they're applying to the colleges, many colleges will require that the score reports come directly from ACT to the college. They won't accept it from the high school. They won't accept it from the student. So when a student's registering for the exam, it's to their advantage to put the college on there right away at the time of registration. Otherwise, they will have to pay a fee to send the scores later. And if they wanted to send their scores from last April, they would also need to create an ACT account to do that, and then they'll need that ACT ID from their score report. So here's what the ACT website looks like. Again, it's actstudent.org. As I mentioned on the previous slide, students can still register for the October test date, but there is a late fee. That is, as of the time of this recording, that is up until October 2nd that they are able to register with a late fee. So on this webpage, you can see other things like deadlines. This is where you create the account. And you can also do things like send scores from here. Another thing you can do on the ACT website, if you see the titles along the top, you can do some test prep. And we encourage students, if they're going into this to try to improve their score, they really should do some preparation ahead of time. So there's different test prep options available here on this website. The first one listed does have a fee, but it's pretty reasonable. Otherwise, the rest of them are free. And the one towards the bottom that says practice test questions, that's a nice option because not only did they get to practice, but then if they get something wrong, it has them go back until they get it right, and then they tell them why that answer was right and why the other ones are wrong. So it gives them some feedback as well. Earlier in the presentation, Sarah Lindy discussed the costs involved in various post-secondary options. Finding a way to cover the cost of college can seem daunting, but there are federal and state financial aid programs in place to help families. In order to receive financial aid, students need to complete a FAFSA, stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The FAFSA will gather information to assess the financial strength of the family. FAFSA cannot be completed until after January 1st because it's based on the financial information of the current calendar year. So based on the information that's gathered on the FAFSA, students are awarded a financial aid package that could consist of 3 components. The first component is grant money. Grants are awarded to the students who demonstrate the highest level of need, and grants do not have to be paid back. The second component is loan money. Loans obviously do need to be paid back, but there are some advantages to student loans as opposed to other types of loans. For example, student loans typically have a lower interest rate, and some student loans do not require repayment until after the student has graduated, and there's usually a grace period for them to find employment and start earning money. The third possible component of a financial aid package is work study. Colleges have various work-study jobs available on a campus where the student will work, and then the money that they're earning is considered part of their financial aid. So some examples of work-study positions could include working in the cafeteria or the library, the tutor center, or the athletic office, just to name a few. Students who are undocumented do not qualify for federal student aid, and so they would not complete the FAFSA. They do, however, qualify for state aid, and so there's a separate application that they would complete. It's called the Minnesota DREAM Act application. It's also known as the Minnesota Prosperity Act. So the website for that is linked through our website, so they could go to the Richfield website and get more information about the DREAM Act. For more information about financial aid, you can go to our Richfield High School website and go to the guidance page under Office, and we have lots of resources and links there. We will also be passing on more information about financial aid and the FAFSA to the students during an advisory lesson at the beginning of the calendar year. And we will also be having a financial aid night for parents in January. So we encourage you to utilize these resources. Reciprocity is another thing to be aware of when looking at the financial costs of various colleges. A lot of times when you're looking at a college and they're listing their tuition, they will list both an in-state tuition rate and an out-of-state tuition rate. And the out-of-state tuition can sometimes be 2 to 3 times the cost, and it could possibly scare students away. But if they're looking at schools in some of our neighboring states, Wisconsin, South Dakota, North Dakota, there are few schools in Iowa that also participate in this program called Reciprocity. So that would mean instead of paying the out-of-state tuition, they would pay what they would pay at a comparable university in their home state. So it's much more affordable. So there's more information about Reciprocity and about funding college and choosing a college, lots of resources available at the Office of Higher Ed website. So that website's listed here, and we also have a link to it on our website. During our senior seminar, students were given access to an online tool called Naviance. This is a great tool that helps them do things like search for colleges, schedule college rep visits, organize their applications, and search for scholarships. So we really encourage students to use this. The instructions for how a student can log in are listed here. If you would like your own parent account, you can send an email to me, jessica.oki@rpsmn.org, and I can set up an account for you, the parent. I also, through this program, send out bi-monthly emails. They come every couple weeks, and they list all the current scholarships that we are advertising. So the list of scholarships that's in the program is just a general list, and it tells what we usually know about during the year and the usual amounts and the typical deadlines, but the official deadlines and information come out in these emails and in the bulletins that we post on our website. So if you'd like to be receiving those emails as well, just send me an email and I will add you to the parent list.